I used to absolutely hate running. I did cross country in high school, but that was only to get in better shape for playing sports that I actually enjoyed. As I got older, I realized I could get a great workout from lifting weights in the gym, and that's when my running stopped altogether. Fast forward a couple years where I tried to run just a couple laps of the rec center of my university and realized my cardio was absolutely trash. That's when I realized I needed to make a bit of a change. I found that to be the best version of myself, I needed to do something that elevated my heart rate for an extended period of time. So that's when I set myself a goal to run a marathon. Now this was just like a bucket list challenge for me. I was gonna run a marathon and then I thought I would be set. So I started running again and absolutely hated it. But I pushed through because I thought I would just complete this goal and then I would be good. I'd be in great shape. Within just 2 months, I had abandoned that goal of running a marathon and pretty much stopped running altogether. Not only did this happen once, but the following year, I set the exact same goal and tried to continue the exact same way and failed miserably once again. I was pretty much over running at this point. So that's when I got deep into hiking. For me, hiking had all the benefits of running without as much pain, boredom, and discomfort. So that's when I really started hiking a lot. Now the only problem was I started doing longer and longer hikes, and I wanted to complete bigger multi-day trails. Obviously, this is something that you have to prepare for. And my major barrier to preparing for some of these hikes was time. I could only really go out for long hikes on weekends, and at the time, I didn't really see the point of just walking around my neighborhood for a few hours each week just to get better at hiking. For me, the limiting factor on a long hike has always been my feet. I knew I needed more strength and resilience in my feet, and I thought that the best way to do this was simply just to get more steps in. And in the interest of saving time, that's when I got thinking about my old friend, running. So I started running again. But this time, something felt different. I guess third time's the charm, because I actually started to enjoy it. And I attribute this change to not being so concerned with speed or time. When I went for a run, I was only concerned about one metric, and that was the distance. And this was because I only cared about building up a bigger stress tolerance on my feet. I started running slowly and consistently, and I fell into a pace that was very comfortable for me. I remember my first ever 11-kilometer run, and that was a massive accomplishment for me. And then when I hit 19 kilometers, I was almost in tears, not because of the pain, but because I never thought I could be able to go that far. In the next couple months, I ran my first half marathon and then a 28-kilometer. That 28-kilometer run had me limping for days after. But on my next big run, I flipped a switch. I'm not sure exactly what it was. Maybe it was just good timing. Maybe it was too much Davey Goggins. But on this next run, I successfully completed 50 kilometers. Yeah! Now, I don't recommend this because I was completely wrecked for days afterwards. However, this single event had a massive impact on my life and changed my view on running forever. My previous longest distance was 28 kilometers, and I had nearly doubled that. I had successfully completed and surpassed my goal of a marathon that I had thought was a long shot when I set it 3 years prior. I felt like a marathon would be the pinnacle of my running career. But now I felt like there was no limit at all. Over the next year and a half, I completed multiple 60-plus kilometer runs. I started running marathons casually and even completed a massive 266 kilometer self-supported hike/run over 5 days. As of right now, my record is 97 kilometers that I did in my first ever backyard ultra running event, and it's absolutely insane to me to think that my next goal will be a 100-kilometer run. So, as a person who enjoys hiking, how did I find a similar enjoyment in running? Many people who like hiking are not avid runners, and most people have their reasons, just like I did. But I want to talk about how running and hiking are very complementary activities, and there's a lot more crossover than you might think. You probably enjoy hiking because of the physical benefits, the mental benefits, and your connection with nature. Well, you can actually get all of that just as well with running, and in some instances, more efficiently and with greater impact. Starting with the physical benefits, one of the best reasons to include running in your life is because of how efficient it is. With a little bit of practice, most people are able to run about twice as fast as they hike. So this means you can cover the same distance in about half the time, and it's a great way to get some exercise if you're short on time. You don't need to pack a bag and drive out to your favorite hiking trail. You can simply throw on your shoes and run out the door. If you're into hiking, you're probably into health as well. And you've probably thought about improving your cardiovascular health, your bone health, and your lung function. And although hiking will improve all of these things, running will do the same. And there's an argument to be made that running will do all of these things even better for you. With running, it's very easy to moderate your effort level, which means it doesn't matter where you're starting from. Like I said, when I really started enjoying running, it's when I threw out all the metrics and just focused on one. For me, that was distance. I didn't care if it took me 4 hours to go 20 kilometers. I just wanted to get that distance. This is what worked for me, but it might be a different metric for you. Maybe you want to work on speed and see how fast you can run a mile, a 5K, or a 10K. Or maybe you're more interested in pace and you want to see how long you can maintain a specific pace for. You could even track your heart rate and see how long you can keep your heart rate within a specific zone. Whatever metric gets you excited, first focus on that one and don't even think about the other ones. Because of the frequency of my running, I also found that it had a huge benefit on my caloric expenditure and therefore my body composition as well. I also found that I would have a great sleep after a long run. I started running in the Australian summer, so that means I had to get creative to figure out ways where I could run without getting burned. I chose to run after sunset because that's what worked with my schedule, and I found it extremely peaceful to run at that time. And about an hour after my run, after I had ate and rehydrated, I would sleep like a baby. Now I also started to find some of the amazing mental benefits of hiking during my runs. So first off, like any form of exercise, it's a great stress reducer. If you have an issue or problem going on in life, you can access that mental clarity and flow state and just see things in a bit of a different perspective. It really is like an active form of meditation. I find that I can be extremely creative in this zone as well. For me, this happens on long, slow runs where I'm not actively thinking about breathing or speed. I start to let my mind wander and it can go some really interesting places. The next mental benefit is the dopamine release. For me, this is extremely apparent when I hit a new goal, but it also can be felt on just regular day-to-day runs. I used to only feel good when I finished a run because I was just so glad that it was over. But that's simply because I was pushing too hard during each and every run. And there are definitely times to really push yourself, but the majority of running should be done in zone 2, which is slow, steady state running. And I got a full video on the aerobic threshold. If you're interested, check that out. If you've never felt a runner's high, then I would suggest trying a slow, relaxed run, where it doesn't really feel like you're struggling for a breath, and you could easily hold a conversation. I usually start feeling the sparks in my brain, kind of like I just had a cup of coffee, about 15 to 20 minutes into a run at this pace. And of course, one of the best things about hiking and running is the connection with nature. Now, of course, you can go out to the bush and run the trails, but I really like the convenience of just being able to step out my door and go for a run. So that's why I just run down to my local park, and it feels like I can get a little bit of a microdose of nature if I don't have time to drive out into the wilderness. I was always one of those people that never understood runners, and I didn't really get why anyone would enjoy it. Now, somehow I stumbled upon a way that worked for me to enjoy running. There's so many people out there that'll tell you how to run, how to be more efficient, the best pace, exactly what to do, but none of that really matters if you're just hating it the entire time. If you're not trying to compete or become an elite level runner, then there's no real reason for you to force yourself to do something that you absolutely hate just because someone else says it's the best way. Now, people say that comparison is the thief of joy, and I find this extremely true when it comes to running. It doesn't matter how fast you go, how far you go, or what kind of personal records you get if you're hating running the entire time. I tried that approach 2 years in a row, and it failed miserably for me. You really do just have to run your own race. I hope this video was able to bridge the gap a little bit between the worlds of hiking and running. I enjoy both, and I find them to be very complementary. I got a few more videos on running on my channel, so check those out if you're interested, and send this video to one of your friends that absolutely hates running. Let me know in the comments below why you love or you hate running, and tune in next time for another adventure.